Hey Spiders, my name is Mark Gatt here with Spider Athletics, and today we have a very special guest, Izzy Blaylock. This is going to be Izzy's third year running here at Richmond, and today we're going to get to know her a little bit more. Izzy, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
Now, we were talking a little bit before we started shooting, and me personally, I told you I ran track in high school.
Yeah.
Anything longer than the 800 meters, and I was a mess. Actually, well, to be honest, I was a mess walking from the parking lot to the track. So, what got you into loving track so much that you decided to pursue it as a D1 athlete? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I was in middle school, I was a swimmer, and eventually I just got sick of being in a cold pool. Total props to all the swimmers. I could not do it. But I started running. I tried out for the volleyball, my middle school volleyball team, and didn't make it. And I was like, okay, I've always liked running. Let's go do the track team. And I ran track in 7th grade, decided to do cross country in 8th grade, and kind of continued from there. It's always been something that has really given me an outlet to show up to practice every day, turn my mind off, just work hard, and just be something that I can really push and get better at as time goes on.
Incredible. And you told me that in high school you were running mainly the 400 and 800, so a little bit longer sprints.
Right.
And now you get to college and all of a sudden they have you throwing you in the 1500 meter. So how do you sort of adapt to that? Because I know it's tricky, it's a little bit different, training is different.
Yeah, so I'm running cross country as well, which I think was really helpful. I think honestly, coming from high school to any Division I program is going to be a huge adjustment, but I've been lucky that I have a super incredible coaching staff and an amazing teammate support system that it was really just, we hype each other up, you make each other feel good, and with that kind of connection, that kind of support, you can really do whatever you put your mind to. But I've really fallen into running the 1500 mile, and that's just been something that I've been able to put other skills that I might not have necessarily used as much in high school to better work now.
So you talked a lot about sort of the team atmosphere and how you guys sort of hype each other up. What's been your favorite memory running at Richmond?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I think this past indoor season, our women's team came in 3rd at the Eastern Conference Championships, and we went up to Boston, which is always a super fun trip. And for me personally, I was injured last indoor and outdoor season. So being able to come back and run those events that I love. I ran the 1,000 at ECACs and be able to score points and be with my teammates who scored points. We had 3 girls in the finals that made it for ECACs, and being able to do that and then walking away with some hardware is always great. And that kind of camaraderie and team culture and just always supporting each other no matter what, whether you're watching, the girls running a 5K, you're watching the girls running the 4x2, you're watching the girls running, jumping, it's, everyone loves everyone and everyone's there to watch and have fun.
It's incredible. And now, speaking of women's sports, it is Women's History Month.
Yes, it is.
And I believe it's easier for me on the outside to look at the landscape of women's sports and be like, wow, this is a sort of a growing industry, right? You've got Caitlin Clark and women's college basketball, Sydney McLaughlin, a sprinter, as a woman. What is your perspective on sort of the growing landscape of women's sports?
I think that we've come really far, and I think that we have a lot of room to grow. Obviously, our head coach, Lori Taylor, is one of very few female head coaches in Division I track and field, and maybe I'm biased, but I think she does an incredible job balancing that. To have that kind of role model is really inspiring for me. I had a female coach in high school who, same thing, she was the director of women's sports at our high school, and having those two role models are people that really keep me waking up every day and wanting to give it my all. And I feel like being a female athlete has allowed me to grow and develop my own identity and develop my vision of what I want my future to look like beyond athletics, and gives me that space to define that on my own terms instead of what, a society or what anyone else, any vision of athletics outside of female athletics may want me to be. So that's been it's something empowering, and there's something there's something so great about girl love that we all are there for each other no matter what. And at the end of the day, like, those people are the people that I'm making memories that are going to last me well beyond the actual miles that I'm running.
Talking about beyond the track, outside of sports, you have another passion, right? And you
Yes.
are the A10 representative for SAC, the
Yes.
Student Athlete Advisory Committee.
Yes.
What got you into civics and a passion for civics, for voting, politics, and all of these things?
I mean, that's been something I've known. I'm planning on going to law school, and that's something that I've known I've been interested in for a long time. I've always been a reading, writing kind of brain rather than a math science brain. But I think after the election in 2016, I was coming into high school. I was starting to develop my own ideas of what politics mean for me, what I expect from my government, what I expect from my representatives. And growing up in Texas, that's something that I wasn't necessarily seeing everything that I would want to see, as far as like preserving my own autonomy, preserving like my own right to do whatever I wanted, or to be a female athlete, honestly. And that kind of feeling of realizing that we are in a society that may value the male perspective more than a female perspective. And being involved in civics, being in the positions that I am in, has allowed me to put my own voice and contribute my own perspectives and bring being a female athlete to the table. So as an A10 representative, I'm currently working on an initiative to get all student athletes in the Atlantic 10 registered to vote. And whether or not that means they actually show up, I want to make voting as accessible and as easy for everyone across the spectrum, no matter who it is you're voting for. I think that it's so important that young people especially show up and are willing to read a couple news articles, educate themselves, think about what sorts of representation they would want from their government, what sorts of things that they're going to demand growing up, what kinds of policies, what kinds of, programs are going to be most beneficial for them. And when everyone does that, we can have a really, really strong generation of like civic-minded, engaged people. And I think that it'll work a lot better for everyone.
I mean, as a younger person myself, I couldn't agree more. Regardless of what side you're on, I think the ability to just be able to be educated is so vital and important. So
I agree.
Thank you for doing all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so what have you learned being on the track, being a female athlete? How has that sort of bled into other areas of your life, like you talk about, for advocacy? What have you learned? What are the mixes and matches in there?
I think that no matter where you go, hard work is going to be an integral piece of getting anything done, honestly. I've always been a very type A, get it done, do it yourself kind of person. And I think that having that confidence to be independent and to know how to stay true to what you believe in, and to know how to keep your own voice loud and take up space. I think that that's something that athletics has taught me that I wouldn't have necessarily learned anywhere else. And I think that that leads well into advocacy. I think that, with everyone who is involved, there comes especially as a young person, there comes a point where you feel like you might be getting pushed around, you might be not being taken seriously, and track and athletics has allowed me to develop that confidence and that seriousness in myself and ability to walk into a room and know that I belong there, and to know that my voice matters.
Absolutely. Well, Izzy, we want to thank you so much for not all that you do on the track, but also everything you do outside of it. Spiders, Izzy Blaylock.
Thank you so much.